When I'm working with founders who are in that 10 to 20 million range, and quite honestly, it doesn't have to be 10 to 20 million, it could be $50 million or it could be $5 million, is that when they're unhappy, I think it's because a lot of them are driving from a place of, either obligation ambition or prove it ambition. And I think that I think that a lot of entrepreneurs think it's about like what's the next skill, what's the next like level up thing. What they don't realize is what's the basis that they're coming from, because this is a complete energy game. It's 100% energy. And there's this push or pull, chase or being chased. At least for me, it was very much of like, man, if I could just make $100,000, then it was like, if I could just make $1 million, what would my life be? And then, oh, if I could just make $3 million and then $5 million, it was like, what would my life be like? And what ends up happening is you end up chasing and you end up pushing towards that. And it's very much like getting to the top of a mountain. You get there and you expect it to just be like the heavens are going to open up. I mean, the rallies, if you build a company to $20 million, you did a ton of things right. I mean, there's a shit ton things that you did that right to get to, like, tactically, right? But I think it's about when you got there and you had that feeling of emptiness, right? And I know what that feeling feels like is you get to the top and it feels empty. I think then you did the right tactical things to actually get there. You put in the right amount of hours to like literally push this thing forward, but it feels wrong because it doesn't feel authentic. It doesn't feel as easy as breathing. Because I've done it both ways. In my OG business, the first half of that 23 years, I did it the pushing way. And I got to tell you what, I played other people's games. I felt like I was on the rat race. I was on the never-ending treadmill. And then there was a point where I said, "No, I'm no longer going to do that." And I spent a year in the wilderness where I had to retool everything. I had to retool everything. And then I got to tell you is that things started to just become effortless. All of a sudden, opportunities started coming to me. And the amount of joy and the amount of clarity and the amount of confidence that came to me, I started doing the things that felt right to me. And I started saying no to the things that felt wrong to me.
Because we're so used to like, well, if I could own that thing or do that thing or have that much money, the world will look at me as a success. And I had to go through a lot of different experiences to realize like that's if you're measuring it on that stick, then you're probably going to end up failing anyways.
There's another basis that you could actually build from, that quite frankly, that your joy is regardless. It's no longer about the number. It's no longer about like, do I have 10 or 20 million? It's more about, are you building a life that is based off joy? Because joy, if you're in that space, it is evergreen. Joy is evergreen because what ends up happening if you're doing things that align, instead of like obligation ambition or prove it ambition, but it is aligned ambition because it's who you actually were meant to be. You stop chasing money because money starts chasing you. You actually start being pulled towards it as if it's just like a moth to a flame, is that it's like gravity. It is inevitable. When people think about playing a small game, they think it's manageable. I can actually get it. And I think that is actually the fallacy, that I can get it fallacy, because when you can get it, then you are consciously going back, or even going really consciously going back into your subconscious. And the fact is, you'll get what you've always gotten because you can pull from the existing resources that you already have within inside you. But when you start playing games that you could never imagine, whether it's adding a couple zeros onto it, what it forces is the conversation of what sacred cows have to die? Like, what has to die right now that can no longer come with you? So, if you think about you, founder, old self, founder, new self, what gets to come along that can actually create that momentum, right? And what ends up happening is that you're probably going to have a really large gap. There's going to be, if you look at your inventory, look at your pantry, so to speak, you are probably going to have a lot of holes to fill. And a lot of times founders and entrepreneurs think like, "Oh man, oh, that sounds hard," or that seems like you're lacking. I just go, "Man, what a great gift." When you're playing small, it seems like, well, that protects your confidence, but I got to tell you, playing way bigger games all of a sudden allows you to be able to go, you have to think differently and you have to do it for yourself, because no one's gonna get you there, and so that's the gift, is that you get to kill off the things that maybe would have helped you get to that really cool small goal. It's not going to be overnight. Anything that can happen overnight, there are no quick fixes. There are no get out of jail free cards. You know, that Staples button that says that was easy. If you have things in your pantry that are that way, I'm telling you, joy does not come to those who go, that was easy. I was just talking with a bunch of entrepreneurs this last week, and I said, you know, when you wear the cape, you are stealing. And the entrepreneurs kind of looked at me like, what do you mean? I'm like, when you wear the cape, you are stealing applause. You are stealing people's joy. Well, to create a bigger container to get that joy is that you actually have to give someone else that joy first, right? I think Zig Ziglar says, "You give enough people what they want, they will give you they'll get you to what you want." It's if you're in your joy, guess what? You know what people want to be in. People are attracted to joy. When you're in joy, you're probably being more authentic. Guess what? People want to do business with people who are more authentic. Guess what? It's not a talent chase. I've never had a talent issue in my entrepreneur life because at the end of the day, I was doing it from a place of my authentic self. And when you do that, guess what? You know what? Talent, A players want to be with someone who is like being pulled forward because guess what? They get to tuck in behind them and they want inevitability too. I think the reason why people like to put on a cape in their company is that it feels good. I mean, let's just call it what it is. It feels really, really good to hear applause. And you think about Superman, right? And Superman gets glorified, it's got all of these different, like movies around him. But think about what here Superman is. I mean, they actually even talk about this and show like the wear and tear. He has to be everywhere at once. And what ends up happening is what happens if Superman goes away, right? I mean, think about that. If Superman goes away, all of a sudden, all these things continue to happen. There's no one to save it. And I think that that is actually where the real opportunity lies is that if an entrepreneur can retune what is applause and actually become a cape making factory that says, actually, I'm no longer going to be Superman. The fact is, I'm actually going to create the world's greatest training facility, that I'm going to create a bunch of my team members who have capes. And at the end of the day, they get to actually hear the applause. And when I hear that applause, it's a 10x louder like sound system that actually says, I'm actually winning.
And if you're the sun and all the planets go around you, guess what? When the sun goes out at night, let's say it turned off at night, you're not earning any money. And that's the life, that's the cage, that's the jail we build if we think we're the business. The reality is we are the people, the visionaries, the architects of the business. That's just how we should function. If you can't take a 6-month vacation, well, you don't have a business, you have a job.
What really is the risk? What really is the risk? Right? So if you built a $20 million company and let's say you take this and all of a sudden you only did 15 million, but you are more authentic, you are more genuine, you are more in your joy. And by the way, everyone else in your life starts benefiting from it. If you're married, your partner. If you have kids, all of a sudden your kids. Did we really lose $5 million? Yeah, maybe on paper we did. But at the end of the day, if you're living a life that you literally never want to retire from, to me, I have to believe with 100% certainty the probability that you staying at 15 million is zero because money is attracted to authenticity. Money is attracted to joy. Money is attracted to people having aligned ambition.
But then I realized like I can't put my name behind this anymore. I can't put this isn't aligned with who I am, and I'm gonna have to walk away from 7 figures a year.
Ooh.
And I did. That was tough.
It's probably going to lead to more questions of now what? But I think that's the opportunity that you have because guess what? If you want to cook, guess what? You need ingredients. You want to create gold, guess what? You need a lot of material to run through, like the sluice box, right? That's what you created. And many founders don't want to have this conversation because they think it's again not going to be that productive. But I got to tell you what, you have to tell the truth. You have to have the material. You have to have the ingredients for you to be able to cook.
Honesty is binary. It doesn't take energy, whereas misalignment, untruths, they take energy. It takes energy to create them. It takes energy to maintain them and hold them up. And I'm just courageously going toward alignment. Um, and with that alignment comes the joy and the ease.
When I'm talking with leaders and saying, "Hey, what does it mean to be leaders?" I think it's not asking people to get or do something that you haven't actually asked and done for yourself. If someone is listening to this video and wants to know kind of where they're at, just level set. I think it's actually really, really, really easy. We're gonna go back to the old, keep it simple, stupid, KISS method that my grandma taught me. And it's like, we're just gonna go and you think about your business. I want you to create a T chart on one side that goes aligned, on the other side says unaligned. And I want you to think about what it is that you're doing. And by the way, you may find at the end of the day that a lot of things are on the unaligned side. Guess what? Congratulations. Rather than being like, oh man, my business isn't aligned with me, I think there's an opportunity to think, what a gift. What a gift. Because at the end of the day, you've built a company that is incredible, has incredible amounts of cash flow. You know what that cash flow is going to allow you to do is actually build the thing that you want, right? And if you have things on the aligned side, then it's like, okay, great. What truly is there? Ask why. There's an engineering principle, which is like the 5 whys. All the things you write down on the aligned side or on the unaligned side, ask the 5 whys. Why? And then ask the follow-up why to why you answer of why. What'll happen is you're going to have a lot of clarity. You stop chasing money because money starts chasing you. You actually start being pulled towards it as if it's just like a moth to a flame, is that it's like gravity. It is inevitable. And if you want to be guided through this process, just make sure you click the link below.